Put your eyes back in your head.
I felt like flavor. Flavor.
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skin the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.
All right, sorry about that. Anytime we start with these stupid headphones. Yeah. All right, sorry about that. So StreamYard doesn't like my headphones, y'all. Sorry about that. So as you guys already stated, we've seen the Falcons press conference. If you haven't, really didn't. Yeah, we really didn't see a lot. Yeah, StreamYard doesn't like headphones for whatever reason, and it's been kind of messing everybody's life. So StreamYard needs to get their stuff together. Like, if you're going to be the number one supplier for online streaming, y'all need to get y'all stuff together, because we pay a lot for our headphones for y'all for us not to be able to use them on your website and be paying down there $50 for the inability to use them. So thank you, StreamYard, for that. Okay, thank you. So we're going to get in a few things. Obviously, Mad Mike in the morning. Want to get to this real quick. We got some interesting thing that's coming in tonight. And I don't know why that's in there, but however, all right. So obviously today's conversation is about the quarterback position, and is we're going to get to that. But the heavy hitters tonight, 9 o'clock. We're gonna do 3 keys to victory. You will not be able to join us tonight. He's tending to the family, and not feeling well. So you got some fatherly and husband duties. So y'all send you some, send him some love. Head over to Jew Talk Sports and send him some well wishes. They're not feeling well. Family not feeling well, but all is well. Just doing to take care of the family. So he will not join tonight. Also, we have the Dunn, 6-man K Styles, 6MK Live. So join us for that. Again, we're talking about this Atlanta Falcons. This Atlanta Falcons game against the Dallas Cowboys. I know a lot of people probably saying themselves too that is this a game that is this a game that's gonna be like Seattle? A lot of people are thinking that. So we're gonna give our key to victory tonight. I was originally going to be it was originally going to be a 3 keys to victory there, but I'm going to save that for tonight. But I will get into questions. But the quarterback position is what I want to talk about. And Mucho, shut up. All right, he's there in spirit, sir. he's a heavy hitter in spirit. All right. I'm trying to get this picture on here, and this is what I want to talk about first and foremost. All right, so this is an interesting topic for the simple fact, and I'm gonna go straight into it. So I'm gonna go to my Sit Your Goofy Ass Down award, and the Sit Your Goofy Ass Down award goes to that fucking moron that decided he wants to pull up on Sean Payton because he said that they were trying to run up a fucking score. Yeah. Like, how the fuck do you run up the score when the score is literally 28-14? Like, motherfucker, like, are y'all that fucking pitiful that you're taking, like, you're using 28-14 to say Sean Payton trying to run the score out? How in the hell do you run a score? That's not, you got a 2-score lead. Do you know what running the score? We talking about what the Saints did to us last year. We haven't forgotten about that. Okay, we haven't forgotten it. But you're talking about running up. You're talking, Chrissy. I'm so sick and tired of you and Maggie T with your filthy minds. Okay, I don't know where you guys got that from, but that is very disgusting. That's disgusting. Okay, it's disgusting. Y'all shouldn't be talking like that. Okay, I don't know where you ladies get that from, but that's very disgusting. But how in the hell do you talk about 28-14 is running up a fucking score? Like, this team is that fucking pitiful that you're looking for little things like that to be upset about. And I don't like Sean Payton at all. I think he's a complete jackass, but he's right when we talk about teams. I mean, the Falcons, for example, have been Falcons have been the team that have had leads, and I'm talking about 2 to 3 score, even 3-score, 4-score leads in the second half of things. We had 3 scores leads into our half. We had a 28-3 lead, and we lost those games. So you're up here complaining about fucking 28-14. Because a guy literally, I mean, we literally just saw this with Tampa Bay. Okay, we had a 2-3 score lead. We had a 2-score lead on them, and we could have easily, and thank God we didn't, but we could have easily lost that game. So you're up here talking about a 2-score lead and Sean Payton trying to run up. Like, that organization needs to be a fucking shame itself. So the players at the Carolina Panthers, with the Carolina Panthers that are trying to go at Sean Payton for talking about running up a score, y'all deserve to sit your goofy ass down. Okay, sit your goofy ass down with that shit. Okay, that is absolutely ridiculous. All right, so get that one out the way, and we're gonna get to this quarterback position. Thank you, Mike. So we got Sherman in the house, John Rozier, Mujo, Auntie Pam, how you doing? Christy, talking about humping. That's so nasty. That's very nasty. E, what's going on? How you doing? B, what's going on? My boy, really, what's going on, really? But let's get into what's going on. How you doing? But let's get in the topic at hand, because this topic is something that I'm very passionate about. I gotta speak on this. So, as you guys can see, myself, 6-man K-Styles, everybody at Atlanta Falcons Nation have been talking about this for quite some time. Is that the quarterback position in the NFL and in college, it's been on a slow decline for the past 5 years or so. I've been stating for quite some time that the RPO has ruined the game, but we were so infatuated with the numbers, and this is what Raheem means when he talk about stats for losers. Like, when you focus on stats, and stats is the end all be all, as for losers. Okay, because you can see, you can tell guys they have one good year, 2 good years, and then when teams and defensive coordinators start to figure out, offensive coordinators start to figure out who and what you are, this is what happens. Okay, so if you cannot see this, all right, I'm gonna read it off to you guys. Anthony Richardson, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, he was benched. Bryce Young, 23, benched. Trey Lance, 24, benched. Justin Fields, 25, benched. Will Levis, benched. 25. Zach Wilson, 25, he was benched. Mac Jones, 26, he was benched. Kenny Pickett, 26, bench. We've been stating for quite some time that a lot of these quarterbacks, and these are first round, early second round picks that have been benched. So these guys have been presumed to be great talents. And the thing is, yeah, they do have talent, but the biggest issue is that they run this bullshit RPO, what we've been stating for quite some time, that you guys are so infatuated with trying to recreate the Michael Vick era. I tell people all the time, Michael Vick is the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to the NFL. He's the worst and best thing to ever happen this thing, because all you see at this point is everybody got to end up being like Lamar Jackson. Oh, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, they're putting up astronomical numbers. He putting up a bunch of touchdowns. A lot of his wide receivers are wide the freak open, and we're trying to figure out, oh, why these guys are wide open? Yeah, because nobody cares about those wide receivers. That's why they're wide open. They're just letting Lamar run, and they don't care about the wide receivers. That's why wide receivers don't, or that's why they're wide open. But you don't want to take my word for it. Just look at the Kansas City game. Look at Kansas City. They don't care what Lamar does. As long as you stop everybody else, you stop the run, that's what they focus on. So this is why you see guys like Lamar Jackson put up so many big numbers, but he can't do anything to get his team to a Super Bowl. Why? It's because he hasn't learned how to get over the hump. He hasn't learned how to win games outside of what? this RPO, this quick passing game, and him running around all willy-nilly. This has never gotten him any closer to a championship, playing that style of football. And one of the things you look at what Baltimore has done, and they're going to continue to do because they have no point. They have no other alternative but to do this with Lamar right now. And what is that? Surround him with more and more weapons. Why? Because you done spent the $250 million now. So this is exactly what we stated what would happen when you invest in a quarterback $200 million. Other aspects of the team start to plummet. What did they do? Did they bring in any defense? No, they didn't. Did they bring in any players in the trenches that's going to add? Because in my opinion, just my opinion, I think they do need a little bit more help in the trenches as far as the defensive line is concerned and up front. But that's just me. So when you look at what Lamar Jackson doing, they traded for Deontay Johnson, a wide receiver. Why? It's because you've already invested so much money into their quarterback position. So what happens with organizations, and then it's something that we have in a conversation with the crew in the back, and we're gonna I'm not gonna give too much away about like everything. We're gonna talk about some other things too, but essentially what has happened with a lot of quarterbacks, quarterbacks and a lot of organizations, they putting so much money into these quarterbacks, and you've been forced to invest in quarterbacks due to the demand that is the quarterback position. Sorry about that. Yeah, just a little bit of allergies. But excuse me, but the demand on a quarterback by the organization, by the media, by the fans, because you want to see a certain style of football, everybody wants it. Everybody wants to see the Lamar Jackson type of football. They want to see a quarterback run around in circles. And, is it going to bring in fans, more fans? Of course it is. It's marketing. It's excitement. It's highlight. It's in your face. So excitement breeds fans. So anytime the fans get involved, organization is going to make more money. So what has happened with organizations, they got so infatuated, the media has gotten so infatuated with making money off these players that they don't realize, yeah, it's exciting, but every other aspect of the game is being ruined. And we're talking about ruin is quarterback position. Quarterbacks have no idea on how to be a leader. These are the tools that you're supposed to learn when you're in college. But we got these college programs that have been pushed by NFL owners to say, hey, I just want you to accelerate the process. Accelerate the process, make these guys, put up big, as big as numbers as possible. So when you get to the NFL, the market and the name around these players is so damn hype. And you got guys like not Adam Schefter, but Mel Kiper Jr., they're going out their way to hype these guys up so bad and so much in college because of their college resume and their college numbers. They end up coming to the NFL. They don't know anything about how to be a leader. They don't know how to coexist with wide receivers, running backs. They don't know how to run an NFL system because they don't use NFL terminology. You use pictures. Okay, you see big ass signs with pictures of clowns and ducks and shit on fucking signs, and then wondering why the NFL, you got a motherfucker like Anthony Richardson that all he can do is throw a damn ball 85 yards in the air and hit the top of a fucking Empire State Building. Like, that's the only fucking thing that he can do. And then you wondering why he's sitting on the damn sideline talking about I'm tired. It's because y'all created an easy way to develop these quarterbacks, and now we're seeing the fruits of y'all labor. This is what you guys did to these young quarterbacks, and this is something we tried time and time again. You tried to hire stupid coaches that had no business in the NFL, and Chip Kelly. Now this goes back to, the Michael Vick days, and let's keep this real. This began when Michael Vick was drafted, and the Falcons did one thing. Now I will give this. This is the byproduct of what the Atlanta Falcons did themselves. So look, I know the organization, and some fans are not gonna like this, but this is a byproduct of what the Atlanta Falcons did with Michael Vick. You didn't want to bring in a real head coach that was going to challenge Michael Vick. You want to bring in some guys that's going to, suck his left toe, give him a pedicure, put him in a spa. And say, just sit there. You don't really got to do nothing, Mike. You just sit down and look pretty. That's what the Atlanta Falcons did. So the Atlanta Falcons are just as responsible for what we're seeing right now with these quarterbacks, is because you allow Michael Vick to be a superstar instead of being a quarterback and a leader. Why? Why do I say this? What happened? When Arthur Blank decided that he wanted Michael Vick to be that guy, paid him $100 million. Have no issue with that. Pay him $100 million. The money that Michael Vick was generating for the NFL, is well in the billions. So I have no problem with him paying, him $100 million. But the problem is that you didn't, again, you go right back to what I said. You did not preach him and teach him how to be a leader. You just said you're fine where you are. Don't change anything. We're going to bring in Jim Moore Jr. to be a player's coach, and he's going to get along, and y'all just going to be the bestest friends. Okay, the bestest friends. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to read the playbook. You don't have to do any of that. Everybody else has to do it, but Michael Vick, with his quote-unquote electric self, he didn't have to work hard. So you did that when Jim Moore Jr., all those guys failed. We had another guy that came in. You hired a college coach. And who? Anybody want to talk about that? The college coach? Bobby Petrino. We hired Bobby Petrino. And when Michael Vick ended up going to jail, what happened? He quit. So the Atlanta Falcons are just as responsible for the lack of development as quarterback, is because of this whole Michael Vick. And this is why I say Mike Vick is the worst and the best thing that ever happened in the NFL. Because not only did organizations they got lazy. They didn't want to develop. They felt like if you bring in a guy like Lamar Jackson, if you bring in a guy like Michael Vick, if you bring in a guy like Anthony Richardson, these guys are super athletes, well, they don't really have to work hard. I don't have to work hard. All I can do is try to dumb down the game, run these stupid RPO bullshit, run fast, and this is what we got. This is where we get these quotes of "Run, Negro, run, run, Negro, run," because there's a disease in the NFL right now. Because that's all people want to see. This is everything that you look at. The media, all the media want to see is how many rushing yards did Josh Allen have? How many rushing yards did Lamar Jackson have? They don't look at his ability to command the huddle, change plays, audible. How many different receivers outside of stupid RPO and motherfuckers being wide open? Reason why people are wide the fuck open is because they so worried. Look, one thing you got to realize with Lamar Jackson, as what's going on with him, people don't care if those wide receivers are wide open. So that's why you see guys wide. Why, if you ever notice looking at Baltimore, why is it that tight ends are always wide open? Wide receivers, even some of the wide receivers that are you would never say that these guys are very good wide receivers, but they're wide open. These guys are wide freaking open. It's because they don't care. They know if they just contain or let Lamar and contain everybody else, we good. So they're just essentially just, creating a shield around him And then anybody that goes out of it, they try to prevent anybody from going out of this shell, but everything in the middle is good. But what Lamar is doing a good job this year, he's just not turning the ball over. And that's the difference, what you see from Lamar now and Lamar even in previous years. He just doesn't turn the ball over. And that's one thing that I've always said, that he does not hurt himself in a lot of situations. So this is what organizations are doing with guys like Anthony Richardson. They're not teaching these guys how to be a leader. They're not teaching these guys how to actually command the huddle. They're not teaching these guys how to talk to their teammates. One of the things Anthony Richardson said coming out of college, he said, "I don't give a damn how hard I throw it, you better fucking catch it." Like, come on, bro. You're a quarterback. That's something that you never do as a quarterback. You just throw it at one speed and say, "Hey, you better catch it." No, you're supposed to adapt to the receiver that you're throwing to. Some people like the ball up high. Some wide receivers like the ball down low. Some wide receivers like to catch the ball and they prefer it being in the inside or the outside without routes. Dig routes. Like, these are the things as a quarterback, you have to study film to figure out what that particular wide receiver likes. So all these things are important. So when you see a guy like Anthony Richardson, okay, you see guys like Anthony Richardson failing and he has 44%, it's because he's not reading his teammates, because he never learned that at Florida. He never learned that in college. Instead, they teach him four things in college. They teach you to throw the ball deep. They teach you to throw screens, and they teach you to run as a quarterback, and they teach you to run these RPO schemes. And these RPO schemes is basically reading the edge. So they don't even teach you how to look at a safety. They don't teach you how to look at the DBs and whether they're playing inside or outside technique, whether they're playing bump and run coverage, or they playing cloud coverages. Is it a shell? Like, where do I need to go? Do I need to manipulate the safety to get him to go this way or go that way? They're not teaching these guys in college. So when you get them in the NFL, you got Anthony Richardson. Well, it's because these guys never learned they never learned it. Bryce Young, the same thing. What the fuck is Bryce Young doing sitting on the bench? You're supposed to be in NFL. I heard one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my fucking life. And this is an analyst, so-called analyst. But this son of a bitch said the NFL is not a development league. Sir, every league for the most part, in college as well as the NFL, is the developmental league. What the fuck are you a head coach if you're not helping guys develop? See, this is the stuff we're talking about. So it's everybody's fault. If the NFL tells the college game to say, "Look, I need you guys to prepare these guys a little bit more," because let's make this clear, crystal clear. The college game is only doing what the NFL is allowing them and telling them to do. Because they don't have to draft these quarterbacks in the first round. They don't have to. So they don't have to do this. But what is happening is you having these damn NFL coaches. They're so infatuated with big numbers and making money. They don't care about whether or not these quarterbacks can read defenses. Because as long as he's running fast and he's a mobile quarterback, They can keep on advertising and selling these guys and selling jerseys and doing all these types of things. Why? Because he's popular. I feel you, Corey, but I warn everybody about this. We warn everybody about this RPO shit. And now, right now, what's going on in the NFL? An article that killed, aka Mr. K Styles, he read to me yesterday, is that now the word in the NFL is that they're telling quarterbacks and the quarterback prospects that they need to be, that they want these guys to stay in school for 2 years or so. So what they're saying is quarterbacks that are, that are coming out after their sophomore year, that these guys need more, at the very least, 3 years in college. So that is the word that is going on as far as these scouts is concerned in the NFL. Why? Is because almost every quarterback that we see in the first and second round, and a lot of them in the third round, including Desmond Ridder, these guys have talent. All these guys are failing. Look at this list: Richardson, Young, Lance, Fields, Levis, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. We can go on and on and on. Even Sunshine is struggling right now, and Trevor Lawrence, he's struggling. CJ Stroud is finally starting to kind of slow down a bit. Why? Most of his wide receivers are getting hurt, so we're starting to see the real CJ Stroud in. But we told you about this. We told you guys about this. And I'm going to get to the reason why I say Michael Penix is the savior. First round pick is sexy pick, and that sells tickets. JB1 says Penix is actually further along with being an NFL pro ready. Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys. Chrissy says staying in school doesn't mature them. Trust me, I taught athletes they need mentors. And that right there, they need to be able to, these coaches need to teach these guys. And one thing I will say about Kirby, for the most part, with their quarterback position, like he's one of the few coaches in college outside of Sarkisian that actually prepares quarterbacks for the NFL. Whether or not he's very good at understanding talent, that's a whole nother story. But Kirby is one of the few guys in the NFL that prepares these guys. And one of the things I thought, just like him getting old and Nick Saban, as he started running those RPOs at Alabama, because the game was tricky, and that's where he ended up, retiring for the most part. He retired because the game just became too watered down. So this is when you talk about why the NFL is struggling and why Kirk Cousins at this particular time. I think Kirk Cousins is third or fourth. I think he's like 90 yards away, or less than 90. I know it's less than 100 yards away from being the number one passer in the NFL. And we're supposed to have better talent at the quarterback position. We got Geno Smith and we got Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins in the top 3, top 5 in passing yards. Yet we have all this talent. We have all these other talented quarterbacks, the Caleb Williams, the CJ. We got all these guys. But why is it that we got the 2 veteran guys that's sitting on top of the throne with all this supposed talent at quarterback? Burrow. Many athletes get academic assistance, but no life skills whatsoever. And that's the thing. A lot of these kids are even going to school just to get a paycheck. No, that's not true, Demlord. That's not true at ever. Most of the successful quarterbacks have actually had time to sit back. Even Tom Brady was an immediate starter. And even in his first year, he did okay. So it took Tom Brady even a while to become Tom Brady. Tom Brady was simply a game manager. When he first started as quarterback, he was nowhere near the Brady that we thought that we saw at the ending. But like Tom Brady was just a game manager. To put it in perspective, he was a watered down version of Geno Smith. Just check the ball down and get the ball to his wide receivers. That's what Tom Brady was. Joe Montana, it took him 2 to 3 years to become Joe Montana, the great. It took Steve Young about 5-6 years to become the great Hall of Fame quarterback that we know. So you look at a lot of all these quarterbacks that actually perform well, and let me get into that. It's like the quarterback that actually performed well, these guys have actually sat. Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years. Brett Favre sat for 2-3 years before he became the Brett Favre that we saw. Pat Mahomes, he sat for a whole year. He sat for an entire year before he became the starter. So a lot of these great quarterbacks that we see, that we look at the finished product now, like we look at these guys now and what they are, they sat. A lot of these guys sat for a year to 2 to 3 years. Look at Jordan Love. He sat for 2 years. And now he looks very good. Why? It's because he sat. You look at a guy like Sam Darnold. He went through a whole 3 years or so struggling, trying to find his place in the NFL. Granted that he has some injury issues, but like now you're starting to see the talent in Sam Darnold. Why? Because he's finally learning how to be a quarterback. He's learning how to communicate with his players. He's understanding wide receivers and their needs, how to be a leader. Like all of these things are starting to happen to guys that we see. Xavier says, let's say that when Penix should get loose, we're going to be a juggernaut. And I think when you talk about let me say this, Dim Lord, right quick. If you have never this is one of the most uninformed and that you're not thinking, you're just talking out of your ass right now, because you clearly not thinking. It's because these guys are literally on the field and they still suck. So what are you talking about? Every one of these guys on this list has been on the field and they still suck. So what in the bloody hell are you talking about? Stop talking out of y'all ass, okay? Fans, NFL fans, stop talking out of your ear, because every last one of these guys that you see on this list has had time to play. And they have been on the field and they look like complete ass. So you're not saying what you think you're being intelligent, but you're far from it. Every last one of these guys started, okay? Richardson, Bryce Young, Lance started. Fields, Levis, I think he sat for a year, if I'm not mistaken. Zach, Mac Jones, Pickett, like all these guys started for the most part. These guys weren't on the bench. So all this bullshit that you talking about, if it ain't even on the field, it don't matter. It's literally the dumbest shit. This is the mentality that got these quarterbacks in this position, because these guys weren't mentally prepared to be a leader. And as a quarterback, you're a leader. Whether you like it or not, you're a leader. You're supposed to adapt to how everyone else in your crew around you, their mentality, their feelings, you're supposed to take all that into consideration. and you have to learn how to manipulate certain situations in order to do the right thing for the team. These quarterbacks have never learned these skills. Most of the quarterbacks have never learned these skills. I can say that about, because if just look, I know y'all. I know y'all have best friends and best players, but CJ Stroud is not the same quarterback he was last year. Even when we saw him last year in the regular season versus the postseason, he was nowhere near the same guy. Okay, I'm here to tell you the truth, not to congratulate you because you made a comment. We're here to tell you the truth, and the truth of the matter is, CJ Stroud is going through a growth period at quarterback. It happens to everybody. It happened to Matt Ryan. It happened to Tom Brady. It happened to every quarterback goes through a growth period. He's not a superstar. He's not a megastar. Okay? CJ Stroud is not a megastar. He's not a superstar. Right now, he's a quarterback that has a very good head coach and DeMeco Ryan, and they have a strong sense of how to build a proper team. But he's not a superstar. He's far from that. So when you talk about why we, and I personally, I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but like I see a few people right here. It's like most of the great quarterbacks that we've seen, these guys have went through a growth period. And these guys started off, okay, but they developed into something better because they got the proper teaching and proper tutelage. This is what happened to Mike Vick when he even went to what? Philadelphia. And he got behind Andy Reid. He became a better quarterback. He was still Mike Vick. He can make some plays with his leg, but he became a better quarterback and a better leader because he got the right tutelage from the greatest quarterback guru of all time, and Andy Reid. So when you talk about a lot of these quarterbacks and them having skills, a lot of them have necessary skills. They're gifted. Anthony Richardson is gifted. Bryce Young is gifted. Trey Lance, all these guys on this list is gifted. They have physical gift that few people have in the NFL. But when you get to the NFL, it's the best of the best. I mean, that look, Southside, you know better than this answer. You see, this is what fandom gets y'all, and I love you to death, Southside, but this right here is a fan. This is a fan answer. This is the prototypical fan answer. We're gonna put things in perspective. Stroud has lost Nico, Steven Diggs, and all for the season. And Matt Ryan still put up big numbers without Julio, without Roddy, without Tony Gonzalez, all these guys. He didn't have it one year. He really didn't have any weapons, and he still put up 4,000 yards. That don't matter. If you're a good quarterback, you make it happen. I've seen Aaron Rodgers lose guys like Devontae Adams for weeks on end, and he out there throwing the scrubs, and he still put up 4,000. So, like when you're a quarterback, when you're a great quarterback, yeah, you need talent around you as a quarterback to beat other talented teams. Okay, let me say that again. When you are a great quarterback, what you need is talent to help beat other talented teams. A great quarterback doesn't need great talent around him to beat screw-up teams because he's a great quarterback. He gonna make it happen just on his own. Okay? That's the difference between great quarterbacks and great teams. Great quarterbacks can beat and put up numbers regardless of the talent. But if you want to beat the great teams, you're going to need guys like Julio Jones. So we're not gonna give him the excuse that his wide receivers are out because that don't matter. I've seen many of quarterbacks put up 300 without they top guy. We saw Baker put up over 300 without his top two wide receivers. So when you talk about, when you talk about like the quarterback and the positions, like great quarterbacks don't need great players to put up numbers because they're great quarterbacks. It is. They're going to be able to throw to a Harry Douglas. They're going to be able to throw to a Russell Gage and a young tight end like Kyle Pitts, who's just getting in the league and learning how to be a good receiver. Like, he's going to be able to put these numbers. He's going to put Austin Hooper on the map. He's going to put a fourth string wide receiver like Mohamed Sanu in the position where he looks like a quality number 2 or a possible number 1. Why? Because he's a great quarterback. We're seeing exactly that with Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney on this team is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. He had a trash-ass quarterback in Justin Fields, and guess what? We haven't seen, we literally got one of those guys on our team when we talk about a quarterback and a bad quarterback, a good quarterback and a leader, and a bad quarterback with no leadership skills. Justin Fields exactly that. He had Darnell Mooney, and he could barely do what he did with a guy like DJ Moore. The man barely put up 2,800 yards as a quarterback with DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney. But somehow a veteran quarterback that doesn't have the physical skills that he has, the physical gift that he has, was able to put a Darnell Mooney right already in 8 games. He's already equaled his last year total. Why? It's because Kirk Cousins is a damn good quarterback. So you don't need talent. Great quarterbacks don't need talent to put up numbers because they're great quarterbacks. That's an excuse built up by the fucking media. That's an excuse. Now, you need talent to help you beat other talented teams. That's when you need the talent. That's when you need LT, the special guys. You need LT to go against Orlando Pace. Like, you need a Julio Jones to be the Richard Sherman or, a Deion Sanders, for example. Like, you need talent to beat those guys, but you don't need talent to beat fucking sorry-ass teams. You don't need that. Especially when you have a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can beat that team by his own because he Kirk fucking Cousins. This is another example. Pitts look like a new dude right now. Why? Because he has a quarterback that could put him in position and teach him how to be a great player. And teach him the small intricate details on how to be a tight end, how to be a wide receiver, how to be a pass catcher. Like, these are the things that great quarterbacks do. So we're not getting these things. So you're putting all these weapons around him. Like, it's not like Anthony Richardson has a bunch of trash wide receivers around him. They just don't respect him. They don't respect Anthony Richardson. And why do I say that? Look at how they play for Joe Flacco. You look how they look at Joe Flacco. They play for Joe Flacco, but they won't play for Anthony Richardson. Why is it that? What's going on, James? How you doing, bro? So when you talk about quarterback position, quarterbacks don't need wide receivers to put up numbers. They need great wide receivers to help beat other great teams. You looking at Jalen Hurts looking like complete shit. I told y'all that was gonna happen too. I told you that he was gonna come down to earth. Paying him $200 million to run the RPO system, and then that RPO ain't working no more. And now we trying to figure out, yeah, I don't think he's the real deal. No shit. For a guy that calls him Dim Lord, you pretty stupid. I can tell you that much. And yeah, all these are dumb. All these are dumb. Most of the people in here, these are things that are happening. These are the things in the NFL that is happening. All these players that we see are being benched by their coaches and their offensive coordinators. Man, Mike ain't benching them. Man, Mike didn't bench Anthony Richardson. Man, Mike didn't bench Bryce Young. Mike didn't say, Trey Lance go out there and throw 5 interceptions in the game. Man, Mike didn't say Justin Fields was benched. And I told you it was going to happen when Russell Wilson get in there. You see, this man was a complete. Let's keep this real. This is what happened. Okay, this is another thing that happened with the Steelers. Your boy George Pickens was absolutely he was pissed off. Anybody want to know why he was? Anybody know why George Pickens was pissed off? He literally put an eye black, always open. Why would a wide receiver put eye black on and it's written in the eye black, always open? If that quarterback was such a great quarterback, why would a wide receiver say I'm always open? Yeah. Why would he do that? And because the quarterback is not getting in the ball. He's not throwing him open. When he's open, he's not getting in the ball. This is why the wide receivers are upset. But you see when Russell Wilson got in there, that man, you ain't heard a peep from him since. Ain't nobody heard a peep from George Pickens say, hey, I'm pissed off. You haven't heard nothing from him when Russell Wilson got in there. And that offense looks so much better in the passing game. Why is that? Just saying. So when we talk about these quarterbacks, y'all be looking at their physical gifts. But what makes great quarterbacks is their ability to be able to be a leader, connect with everybody. Those are the first thing that you look at being a quarterback outside of their skills. I think, to be honest, you have to have the mental capacity and abilities to be able to be a quarterback. So that's the first thing that I'm looking at. It's how good is this guy at communicating? Can he communicate with the teammates? Do the teammates like him? Do they respect him? Those are the first 2 qualities that I'm looking at. His ability to connect and whether or not these guys respect him. Can he be? Those are the things you look at quarterback. And this is why guys like Bryce Young fail. They don't respect Bryce Young. Ain't nobody on that Carolina team is saying, look, I want Bryce. Bryce needs to be playing. Ain't nobody saying that. Everybody on that coach team was like, fuck Anthony Richardson. Ain't nobody sticking up for no Trey Lance say he need to be playing. Who the hell capping for Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett? Will Levis, Zach Wilson. Who is doing that? Nobody. So when we talk about why Michael Penix is the chosen one, he's the savior, it's because the Atlanta Falcons, they learned from the dumb crap that they did. They thought they could go right back to doing the bullshit, and I'm going to draft anybody. I'm gonna just draft anybody and put in that position, and we're not gonna develop him properly. That's what they did to Desmond Ritter. And they said, hey, damn, I think we did this. We made a mistake trying to rush these things. And they said, you know what? Let's do this right. And this is why they drafted Michael Penix. And said, Mike, yeah, we got Kirk Cousins, and we may have him for the next 2 to 3 years, but we want to make sure that we develop you properly. And this is why he's not seeing a lot of time right now. So what they're doing is sitting him on the bench and saying, all right, this is a guy that you need to learn from in Kirk Cousins. So I will take some questions right now. Y'all got some questions? Yeah, it's because, for one, everybody want to screw Sierra, and they feel like a corny dude like Russell Wilson, how he get hurt, so other dudes be hating on him. That's why let's keep that real, 100% real. Dudes hate on him because they can't get Sierra. They sit up here and deny it and lie to themselves, but let's keep that real. That's the reason why motherfuckers don't fuck with Russ. Because they think he corny, because he always talking about God and loving Christ and all that type of stuff, and loving God ain't popular. You can talk about Satan and being able to worship money and shoes and cars and clothes and all that shit, but as soon as you talk about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, you become someone that they can pick on. So that's the reason why. It ain't because Russ ain't a good player. It ain't because he's not a good quarterback, because he's already shown you that he's a good quarterback. This is jealousy and envy when it comes down to Russ Wilson. This dude has done nothing but be a quality quarterback for most of his career. And if you look at his number, he's a borderline Hall of Famer as far as his numbers is concerned. And even in it's like his numbers, it's like he got a Super Bowl ring on top of it. I mean, he led his team to a Super Bowl. So it's like, let's keep it real, man. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it all the way real. Yes, and just so you guys know, Kirk Cousins was named Offensive Player of the Week. And let me say something about this damn Lord, because he's acting like a damn, he acting like Rain Man. Well, he's hurt, he hurt. Let me ask, who is your favorite player, damn Lord? Who is your favorite player? I really want to know. Oh no! Oh, it makes sense now, y'all. Oh yeah, you can. Oh no. We knew that. We look. One thing about this crew and the people that come that's in here and they've been with the Atlanta Falcons Nation and a lot of Falcons fans, we know when we see a Michael Vick fan. Yeah, his favorite player, Michael Vick. So you see a lot of these Michael Vick fans, they sound exactly like them, Lord. They shit on everything else and every other quarterback that ever come and become an Atlanta Falcon. Why? It's because they can't get over the fact that Michael Vick is gone. So this doesn't even surprise me. That's why I asked you the question, because it was so obvious that you're a Vick fan. No, he still won a Super Bowl. Like we got to stop hating on the man, bro. Quarterback still got to get you there. Quarterback still has to throw the ball. Quarterback still has to run the offense. Nobody asked was he the best player on that team. You can't win games if your offense don't score points. So let's just keep that real. So a lot of our takes is shaped on the players that we admire. It's like a lot of y'all favorite players, like I said, Mucho, Barry Sanders, and I understand why certain people be upset about certain things. Well, that's because of your favorite player. Your favorite player shapes your viewpoint and how a team should be ran or how you even look at the game. See, my favorite player of all time is Peyton Manning, and I look at the game completely different based on how he played the game. He was a quarterback. He was a commander of the offense. He did everything cerebrally because he didn't have the quote-unquote physical gifts. You're talking about somebody slow as hell. He's that guy. He wasn't extremely athletic like that. Yeah, actually, Matt Ryan is one. He's in the top 10 as far as wins is concerned in NFL history. So he actually did win. Okay. So them Lord, get the dick out your booty. Matt Ryan is that motherfucker, and he's gonna continue to be that motherfucker because Mike Vick ain't it. Like y'all really got to get the nuts off. Like get the man, get your chin off his nuts. Okay, Vick ain't coming back. I love Vick, but he ain't coming back. For anybody to sit there and say that Matt Ryan ain't a great quarterback and he didn't win, he had well over 100, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's like 7th overall type quarterback wins or something like that. So he's a top NFL. Yeah, he's a top NFL win. Yeah, y'all, we got a speed in here. Everybody just ignore Demlo right now. We got a speed in here. Yeah, wins are stats. Stats are stats. So I don't know what the fuck is you talking about. See, stats only matter. All right, so let me ask you this question, Rain Man, aka Dim Lord. What is so great about Mike Vick without using stats? Without using his legs? What about his game that is top 10 in the NFL history was besides his leg, his running ability? Because he played at the quarterback position. So what about his game at the quarterback position besides running? Because if we're gonna use running as a metric to say Michael Vick is a great, then we got to put him in the category as a running back. And more running backs have done what he's done and more than what he's done. Yeah, he's stuck in 2006. That's for real. Yeah, I really am. I really am being nice. This man talking about dog fighting. I know you hitting that Google button right now. Look, I know. Mike Vick fans don't know nothing outside the nigga ran against Minnesota. Okay, that's all they know. Mike Vick fans, that's the only thing they still. Oh man, he outran the whole defense in Minnesota. Oh my God, he won a playoff game against Green Bay. That's the same shit y'all say. That was the two things y'all hang on with Mike Vick every time. So outside of them two things, what have that got? And by all means, I love Mike Vick. I don't think nobody who's a Falcon fan didn't love him. Shit, you didn't even have to be a Falcon fan to enjoy Mike Vick. So this ain't about Mike Vick. It's the damn. So I'm gonna give him about 2 minutes. So it's 1 hour 5 or 1 hour 5 minutes. So you got 2 minutes, right? You got 2 minutes to tell me outside of running, what did Vick do to deserve praise to be the greatest Atlanta Falcon quarterback of all time? So you got 2 minutes. Hey, Cookie Girl, what's going on? Cookie, I hope I'm saying it right. Shit, it made me want a goddamn cookie. I want me some chocolate chip raisin cookie. Never mind. I'm a big fan too. We talking about these Vic obsessors. Like I was a Vic fan. But we got Vic obsessors. Like these people don't want to talk about nothing outside of Mike Vick and any quarterback that resembles anything to Matt Ryan. Like they gonna bash it. Why? Because it ain't Mike Vick. Like you're up here literally bashing a guy in Michael Penix that he patterned and modeled himself after Vic. So it's like I don't even understand the hate for even Penix. When this dude, a lot of these guys from the players that we see on this team, Kyle Pitts, like all these guys were Michael Vick fans coming up. Bergeron, like all these guys were Mike Vick fans coming up. And I think Penix, I think Kyle even went to his camp. So it's like these Vic fans, bro, like these Vic fans are just insane. Like you doing it to yourself. You doing it to yourself. You do it to yourself. As the great K Styles always say, you did it to yourself. So it's like it's multiple things when it comes down to, Matt Ryan. I could say that he did. It's like this guy had one of the greatest Super Bowl performances of all time in the Super Bowl. So don't say that he lost, but you got to put the defense in the center of that also, because he gave him a 28-3 lead. So don't start that little bullshit. Also, he's one of the greatest comeback quarterbacks of all time. He's broken several guys, including guys like John Elway and all the great quarterbacks. He's up there with a Tom Brady and a Peyton Manning for a comeback win. So when you talk about Matt Ryan, I could give you other things that's outside of him throwing for 300 yards every game, where he has one of the greatest streaks of all time, behind a Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, I think he's like behind those guys. And the most career yards of throwing 4,000 yards in a row. I think he's like behind, I believe it's Peyton Manning and Drew Brees behind that. So we can give you more than one reason as to why we worship, quote unquote, worship Matt Ryan, but you can't tell me outside of running in Green Bay and Minnesota what Vic has done to warrant that type of praise. He hasn't done anything. Even when this guy tell you that he didn't do this, y'all still worship him. I think this boy retarded. Yeah, we gonna ignore him and put him on the retard list. I mean, my bad. I ain't meant to say retard, but we're gonna put him on the special list. Dim Lord he's gonna be on the special list for this point on. So I appreciate you, Dim Lord, for coming in here and embarrassing yourself the way you did. I mean, your mama should really be embarrassed. your daddy and your grandma is rolling around. All right. They should be ashamed of you. Yeah, you're not representing your family properly. I mean, you probably are, but look, they still should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of embarrassing your mama the way you embarrassing her. Oh, his physical ability. Ooh, yeah. You still ain't said nothing. So I'm gonna get to these comments. Oscar says, how many defenders you see leaving at the end of the year? Because I know Jimmy Lake's scheme is something else. Look, I'm not answering any more Jimmy Lake questions because y'all don't want to listen. Everybody want to keep focusing and saying it's Jimmy Lake fault, Jimmy Lake fault. This is not his fault. We're in the presser this morning, okay? Go back to the Atlanta Falcons YouTube channel and listen to what he said. I'm the defensive guy and I'm an offensive guy. This is Raheem's system. So y'all got to stop with this bullshit about it's Jimmy Lake's system. It's not his system. He's there to be an aid. Okay. This is what defensive coordinator. Okay. Coordinator. This is what he's supposed to be. Is an assistant. He's not the head guy. This is not his defense. He's there to assist the head. You know what the head is? It's the top, right? Top part of your body. Most top part of your body. Most northern region of your body. It's the head. It's the top. The defensive coordinator is not the top guy. And I'm not saying you, Oscar, but like a lot of people, I'm explaining this to everybody else that keeps saying this nonsense that Jimmy Lake is. It's not true. He's not the defensive coordinator. And when we talk about putting together the game plan, what happens is, and this is what happens. So let me explain this to the people. What happens is on game day, the offensive coordinator, he sits down with the wide receivers coach, the running backs coach, the offensive lineman coach, and they put together an offensive game plan along with the offensive assistant or the assistant head coach, which in this instance is Jerry Gray. They give it to Jerry Gray, the assistant head coach, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. All those guys, they put the game plan together and then they send it to Jerry Gray. Jerry Gray, in turn, sends it to Raheem Morris. Raheem goes over that game plan and they say, all right, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, and I like this, and I don't like this. That's what happens. So when you see the game plan on the game day, it's only Jimmy Lake and his assistants putting together and sending it to him and saying, all right, what do you think about this? We should do this. And that has everything to do with even the rotation, the defensive rotation. They suggest whether or not a certain guy should get more time. Hey, in this instance, guys like, let's just say for Brandon Dorless, like he hasn't got the full confidence of his defensive coach to be even suggested by the defensive coordinator to say, all right, I think this guy ready. What do you need to think? So all it has to be approved by the defensive line coach, the linebackers guy. Like, I think this guy ready. The linebacker guy take it to the defensive coordinator take it to the assistant head coach, and the assistant head coach take it to the head coach. So this is how it works. So when everybody keep talking about Jimmy Lake is running the team, he's not running the team. He's not. He doesn't have the full power like a Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo has full and complete power over his defense. Why? Because he's the defensive guy. Andy Reid is the head guy. Okay? Of the head coach, which is the offensive coordinator. So when you talk about everybody saying that Jimmy Lake is the guy, but to answer your question, Oscar, which guys do I believe that is going to be gone at the end of the year? I could see Caden Ellis being gone. I could see David Onyemata being gone. They've already stated, I mean, you can already see that the move that they've made, that certain guys, especially defensive, like they have a bunch of defensive tackles. Guys like Taquan Graham, if I'm not mistaken. I think Taquan Graham should be on his last year. He could walk, if I'm not mistaken. I got to look at his contract. But a lot of these guys, are gonna be on their last leg. So yeah, quite a few guys, but those are the ones right off the top. That's gonna be gone. So I would say, let me look at Taquan Graham's contract. Looking at Taquan Graham contract real quick, but I think he's gonna be gone for sure. So his contract is up in 24. So Taquan Graham would be a free agent. That is really interesting. Yeah. So Taquan Graham is a guy that I think is going to be gone. Caden Ellis is another guy that I think could be gone. But I could actually see him back. They can decide to cut him or bring him back. The same thing for David Onyemata. They can cut him or bring him back. But like those are the two that right off the top that I think will be gone. Even a guy like Mike Hughes, like you can see him being gone. So it's a lot of guys out there that could be gone. Also, DeAndre said, do you think Kirk Cousins be wearing 18 because he look, man, look, I think it's better suited. He probably have a gold grill soon, the way he acting. The hell with a number. I think he gonna have a great he gonna have a gold grill soon. Diamond plated like that's what he gonna have soon. Hamilton is another one. Like I said, Ellis, Taquan Graham. So they're gonna have a lot of money coming back to them. Judon is still up in the air as far as what they can. I mean, I think they'll bring him back, Judon, but I don't think he's gonna get the big money that he could, Well, it's just based on those Onyemata and Ellis is just based on the philosophy and scheme. Like Jimmy Lake might have a completely different idea of the types of players that they want, and Raheem as well. Like they might have a different philosophy. Remember, like Caden Ellis and David Onyemata they came here because of Ryan Nielsen. So when they fired Dan Quinn, a lot of those guys that they brought in under Nielsen and Arthur, like that's their philosophy. So they might have a completely different philosophy with these guys. So it's like I would bring Caden back to only play him on the edge as the edge rusher because I think he could do that. But like to put him as a middle linebacker, that the Falcons decide that they want to bring in more athletically gifted linebackers, Caden Ellis would he'll damn sure be gone. But I think they will bring Caden Ellis back before Onyemata. I think Onyemata is pretty much he's gone. No, they drafted for this year, but a lot you draft for that year. You always draft for that development for the long term. But like it really is up to the player on how it really just it's up to the player on how fast that they pick up the system and how you pick up the system, you're gonna be able to play. But I don't think Brandon Douglas, Rook at the time, some other guys too. Like I don't think a lot of guys, like even a lot of veteran guys, even like guys like Eddie Goldman, these guys are not sent. They're not getting a lot of playing time. So it just really just depends on the player and how fast and how quickly they pick up the system that they'll get playing time. So I don't see it, Oscar, as them draft for next year. I think you always draft for that person to be able to commit, to give you something. Yeah, they would be able to give you something in that. But some players, they develop faster than others. Yeah, I could see Hamilton being gone. Lorenzo Carter's another one, could be gone. I personally believe so. I say yes, Mucho. Should all quarterbacks be required to sit their first year? I say so. Troy Anderson is perfect for what Raheem wants to do. So I say Troy will definitely be back. I don't really see, them completely starting over. I think JD is a guy that they want to be in the middle of that. But like I said, it really just depends on how fast and how quickly he picks up the defense. And he stated even in the press conference today, it's like, in the first year of everybody's scheme, like it doesn't really matter whether or not you're a guy like Mike Zimmer. The first year for any defensive coordinator is about implementing your system. So when you start seeing year 2, year 3, and these guys still ain't making the necessary jumps, either that defensive coordinator is no good or that player is no good. But the first year, you always kind of give guys, unless they absolutely horrible, you always give defensive coordinators the benefit of the doubt because they're implementing their system, and players are still learning how to, how they fit in their system. Hattie, what's going on? How you doing? Who do you see bringing in defense coordinator? I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Lake is gone because I think, a guy like Steve Wilkes is who he's been hanging around the Atlanta Falcons, and he's very good. He's very good at developing talent. So I could see Steve Wilkes being with the Atlanta Falcons next year. And like I said, he's a veteran guy. And the thing is, all Wilkes has to do is come in and be of assistance to Raheem. Raheem is implementing his system. He's implementing his system, so the system is going to be in place. Jimmy Lake is not creating a system. He's only assisting him in regards to how to build the system properly for the Atlanta Falcons. Because somebody made an interesting point that, like, Raheem, and I forget who it was, I was watching something, but Raheem has always been a guy that was brought in to help teach everybody else's defense. He's never been in a position where he can build his own defense. And now this is the first time he's able to build his own philosophy. So I think this year is him building his philosophy, and then next year start to see a little bit more of the Falcons, of his scheme coming to fruition. Yeah, they always mad about something. Did we draft the first round? I believe so. I really believe so. I know this is gonna shock a lot of people, but I really believe that the Falcons may go linebacker number 1. I like the way his system is set up. I think the Falcons need an athletically gifted linebacker either in the early second round or the first round, late in the first round, because obviously we're going to be in the middle. We win the NFC South, we're going to be anywhere from 14 all the way to 32, just depending on where we finish. Because I expect the Falcons to win the division, and that's going to damn sure put us 15 and below. So I actually think the Falcons are going to go linebacker. If they don't get a linebacker in free agency, a big time linebacker in free agency, yeah, I believe they go linebacker in the first round. Either this, either a right tackle. I still think I still believe we got a great right tackle. I do. I still believe in, but I could actually see two things. I think right now it's only three things that I can see. Not bringing back Justin Simmons. I could see that happening. Them not bringing him back. I would like to see him back, but I can see them not bringing him back, and then drafting a safety. I can see them drafting a linebacker to fit Raheem's scheme, and then I could see them drafting a right tackle because Michael Penix obviously is going to be his blind side at right tackle, and if they don't feel comfortable with Caleb McGarry as his blind side, I can see that. And so like I said, I could actually see those three things happening. And as I said before, it's like everybody keep pointing at Jimmy Lake, but this is not Jimmy Lake's team. This is Raheem. I don't know why people. I mean, I understand why people say this is Jimmy Lake's fault, but this is not Jimmy Lake's fault. This is Raheem's defense. And anybody think this is Jimmy Lake's defense, you're wrong. This is not his defense. What he's doing is he's doing exactly what he's been told. He's taking all the heat for it because he's the defensive coordinator. But the head guy in charge is a defensive guy. And Raheem Morris. He's the defensive guy. He's the defensive guy who put together this team. He's the defensive guru as far as this team is concerned. So Jimmy Lake, he's pretty much being the the quote unquote bodyguard, the security guard for for Raheem right now. But this team, like, make no mistake about it, this is Raheem's defense. So if anybody want to be pissed off at anybody, you're pissed off at the wrong person. He's only doing what he's being told. And furthermore, to add on top of that, the assistant head coach is a defensive guy in Jerry Gray. So you got two guys that we're totally dismissing the saying it's all Jimmy Lake's fault. Because Jerry Gray been in the league longer than Raheem. And Raheem been in the league longer than Jimmy Lake. So we got both of those guys who are defensive gurus for the most part. But we're pointing the finger at Jimmy Lake and saying it's Jimmy Lake's fault. Jimmy Lake is only doing what he's told. Yeah, I told you, Blackberry. I mean, if you can't understand that the guy that we hired is a defensive guy and he put together this defensive team, then I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, he's the defensive guy. Anybody tell me what is Raheem's strength? What is his level of expertise? Because we're gonna dispel this bullshit ass rumor that is all Jimmy Lake's fault. So we're gonna dispel a lot of goofy narratives that I've been hearing. Because everybody pointing the finger at Jimmy Lake, but with nobody pointing the finger at Raheem, nobody pointing the finger at Jerry Gray. Both of those guys are defensive guys, and they outrank him. But we're pointing the finger at Jimmy Lake. Southside said Lake is going to He's going to be the scapegoat. Well, Michael, so why the offense make adjustments? Because we got a guy that's even outranks him. He's sitting right next to Zach Robinson. Anybody know who that guy who's sitting right next to him? The guy that sits right next to him is Ken Zampese. Zampese got well over 20 years of experience as not only a head coach, but a quarterback developer. Ken Zampese is sitting right next to him calling plays with Zach Robinson. So you have an experienced offensive coordinator that's sitting right next to Zach Robinson. So these guys aren't running the defense and running the team by themselves. It's not just, Zach Robinson just calling all the plays and he doesn't have veteran guys there. He got a veteran guy right there with him. And Ken Zampese. And the Zampeses, if you look at their history, they've been pretty good at developing quarterbacks. So when you look at the same thing with, when you look at the Falcons offense not only do they have Zach Robinson, Ken Zampese, they got TJ Yates. Those are three guys that got more experience, and then you add DJ Williams. But like you look at the defense side of the ball, you got two other guys that outrank him. And Jerry Gray and Raheem. But we're not saying that Raheem is a problem. We're not saying that Jerry Gray is a problem. We're pointing the fingers at Jimmy Lake and saying he's the problem. So why is it the conversation is, well, why isn't Raheem making the necessary moves and getting rid of Jimmy Lake as his play caller? Why hasn't he taken that away? That should be the conversation. The conversation shouldn't be, well, Jimmy Lake sucks. The conversation is why in the hell is if Jimmy Lake sucks, why in the hell is Raheem letting him continuously call the plays? But that's not the conversation. It's saying, yeah, the defense sucks. Well, Jimmy Lake is a defensive back coach. What are the Atlanta Falcons' strengths on this team? So we're gonna talk about this because I don't get emotional because I know the truth because we actually do our research. If we're gonna look at what Jimmy Lake's his strengths are and what he is, he's a DB guy. And the best part of this defense is actually what? The defensive backs. So he has the defensive backs playing well. All of the defensive backs are playing at elite status right now. All of them. But what's the softest part of this team? What's the softest part of this team? Because we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. What is the softest part? What is the worst part of this team right now? We're gonna talk about it. What is his level of expertise? Does anybody know what? See, this is the problem. Y'all probably don't know what his level of expertise is. Corey says the worst part is the linebacking core, despite Lamb being number 2. So what's see? This is why we have disagreements because people don't do that. People don't do their research. They just go and just start pointing the fingers at everybody because he has an official title. but you don't look at his level of expertise. Y'all just say, all right, he's a defensive coordinator, he's the problem. Well, his level of expertise is what? Muto says his level of his level of expertise is actually not. He's a DB guy. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that, Blackberry. Obviously, you're not smart enough to comprehend and enlarge what I'm doing. I'm getting to that. So what I'm saying is, what is Jimmy Lake's level of expertise? Michael says Jerry Gray coached the DBs last year and this year. DBs are good because of. So if he's a DB's guy, and the worst part of our team is the defensive line and the linebackers, what's the problem now? If his level of expertise is defensive back and the worst part of our team is defensive line and linebackers, what's the problem? Yeah, the comments ain't coming. They ain't coming in as fast as it was before. If Jimmy Lake, his level of expertise, and he's a defensive back guy, and we're struggling because of our defensive line and not getting sacks, what's the problem? Muto said defensive line the weak of the team. So if Jimmy Gray, if his level of expertise and what he's taught was defensive back, and the worst part of our team is the D line, then is Jimmy Lake really the problem? Now I can respect this because Nielsen was an actual defensive line guy, and he got more out of that defensive line. So this is what we're talking about. It's like you got to do better at understanding even what you're saying, because the question is no longer is Jimmy Lake the problem, because his level of expertise is defensive back, and the worst part of our team is defensive line because we can't stop the run to get sacks. Then why you got a defensive back guy as a defensive coordinator? So I think we all agree that the defensive line is the biggest issue with this Atlanta Falcon team, because secondary with Jerry Gray, whoever you wanted to give the credit to, it doesn't matter. At this point, we got 3-4 guys at this particular time that are excellent at developing DBs. Raheem, Jerry Gray, Jimmy Lake, Shoulders, like all those guys are DB guys. But the worst part of our team is the defensive line. So again, what's the problem? No, Chrissy, he would be the problem if he's not the right person at the coordinator. He's the DB coach. Well, that again, if he is the problem, then there's a bigger problem at head. Is that this is the head coach's problem, because you put a guy at defensive coordinator that wasn't qualified to be it. So is the problem really Jimmy Gray? Is the problem really him? Because you got defensive coaches, you got defensive line coaches. So is this problem really is this really a Jimmy Lake problem? Or this is a bigger issue with our head guys, our head coach, and our assistant head coach? These are the things that people don't want to talk about. You're putting guys that aren't qualified for that particular position because he's a friend. So if you get by who's actually qualified for those positions, then you wouldn't struggle as much. So the issue isn't whether or not Jimmy Lake is a good coordinator, because his level of expertise on the team, they're thriving. This goes back to what we were talking about with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith had a fucking wide receiver. He had a quarterback teaching wide receivers. This is the exact same thing. We talked about this. We talked about this. When you put guys who aren't qualified to be in the position and they can't teach that position, but you put them in that position, that's not the offensive coordinator, the quarterback, the wide receiver problem. The problem is the head guy. The head guy putting guys in position that they're not even qualified for because they friends. This is a Raheem Morris, but we're not talking about Raheem Morris. Why? Because the Falcons are winning. We're talking about fire Jimmy Lake because the defense isn't performing well or up to standard. So again, why are we not holding Raheem Morris? And it's the same thing that you was talking about. Why are we not holding Raheem Morris accountable for the lack of sacks? Because your guy that you put at defensive coordinator is a DB guy. And the DB guys and the DB, for the most part, they're playing well. So do we really need to fire Jimmy Lake if the defensive backs are playing well? Or do we need to fire the defensive line coach or the outside linebacker coach who's responsible for the pass rush? Do we need to fire those guys? So I like we have conversations about things. We're not gonna point at the guy in third and fourth on the totem pole. When things go wrong, the mother and the father is responsible for what happens to the kids. What happens with Falcons fans, they want to say the kids. Well, the kids shouldn't have been out at 3:00 in the morning. The kids shouldn't have been cussing out a teacher. The kids shouldn't have been selling this. What were the parents? That's the first thing that's the first thing when you get in trouble. The first thing cops are gonna say, hey, especially when you underage, where are your parents? But Falcons fans, they want to say, nah, man, let's lock that kid in forever. I don't care if he was put in a bad predicament. This is exactly what Falcons fans want to do. So a lot of times, I'm glad you said that, Christy. I'm glad you said that because that's what I've been saying in regards to the pass rush. I've been saying that the problem with the Atlanta Falcons and their the lack of pass rush isn't the fact that we're not getting pressure. These guys, he said, it's individual. A lot of these players are making individual efforts. Go back and listen to the press conference. He repeated. He said exactly what we were talking about. So let me ask this question, everybody. What is the head coach's job? Because a lot of people, obviously, Blackberry, he like his ears are looking like a cartoon character with steam coming out right now because he's wrong. What is the head coach supposed to do? What is the head coach's job? What is the head coach's job? And what is his job? And is he or is he not in charge of personnel issues? Yeah, we go. I got time to talk about it. I got time to talk about what is the head coach's job. The head coach's job is to make sure the team is functional. So Does he have to approve the offensive game plan that the coordinators put together? Does he have the power to veto anything that he feels is not? Is that his job? Is to see everything and everyone on this team. So he's in charge of the 53 and personnel issues and who's going to be available for each game, who's the active and inactive guys based on the game plan. Would y'all agree if that's the head coach's job? To put everybody in position to lead. So he has to not only approve the offensive game plan, because his job as a head coach is to make sure that the game plan is designed to win and win first. So if the defensive coordinator brings a game plan to him, put together by his assistants, because that's why you have assistants for each position. Each position player is supposed to say, all right, this is what I believe, what our DBs that we need to do. And they in turn send it to Jimmy Lake, and Jimmy Lake in turn sends it to the assistant head coach and the head coach. That's what happens. Defensive coordinators don't have the ultimate say-so in regards to how a game plan is put together. He has to take it to his boss and say, all right, this is what I got. What you think about it? And if the boss says yes or no, or in this particular instance, if he says, yes, I believe Jimmy Lake's system is best, and it doesn't work, and it continues to fail, well, who's the one at fault? You the one who keeps saying yes to him. He keep bringing you this same game plan that's not working, and you keep approving it without making the necessary adjustments. So again, this would go back to what I'm saying. We need to be looking at the head guys, because everybody want to point it off the blank when the head coaches ain't winning games. Y'all want to say it's off the blank fault. So we got to make a decision on what we want and who we want to blame. So we got to look at everything, and is like, you can't say the head coach is the head guy, and then when we don't want to win, when we're not winning, we need to fire him. And then if he don't win, we start looking at the owner and say, why you hire this guy and hire that guy? But like when we don't see when we have an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator or a defensive back that we don't like, we don't want to look at the head coach and say, all right, why you hire this guy? We just want to, you know what? I like Raheem because we're winning. We gotta hold the leaders, and we gotta hold the leaders responsible for their stuff. That's the reason why he got rid of whom as the team president, the CEO. That's why they made the changes, what they guys up top of football operations. Rich McKay is no longer their head guy right now because he brought in a list of coaches that didn't work out. So Arthur said, all right, I don't fire everybody else but you. I'm getting rid of everybody else. I made every change, the personnel, the players, and everything, everybody else. You the common denominator at this point. We want to do that, but when it comes down to like head coaches and people who we like or dislike, we don't want to hold everybody else. So that's what we talk about. Defensive coordinators are only there to do what they told. So again, Am I satisfied with what I'm seeing for Jimmy Lake and Raheem and Jerry Gray? Absolutely not. I'm not 100% satisfied. But I can say about this defense that I am satisfied. I'm happy about what we're saying. These guys making they're getting turnovers. That's one aspect of this defense that I think, even if we don't have a ton of sacks, if we can continue to get key stops and key moments and get turnovers in key moments, I'm good. I think we can win a Super Bowl if we just get key turnovers and key stops and score 28, 25, 28 points a game. I think we can win a Super Bowl like that. Am I happy with it? No, because I would rather have a top 10 defense than have a defense like this. But they're still a top 10 pass defense team. So I'm not gonna throw Jimmy Lake in the trash because he's not a top 5 defense. You know what I'm saying? We're not stopping the run consistently. We win games, we good. We win games to get Super Bowl, and we, that's perfect right there, Christy. I'm content, but not happy. And I don't see any reason to fire Jimmy Lake, especially when we getting the key stops and we getting turnovers in key moments. It's winning games. So it works for where we are. It works. So, like I said, am I 100% happy about? Nah. But as long as we keep winning games and we get turnovers and our defense is responding in some sort of way, we good. I don't know what the problem is. If we getting those key stops and we getting big time plays from our big time players, we got AJ Terrell got 2 picks. The dude ain't had 2 interceptions in 2 years. And we ready to fire Jimmy Lake and make all these crazy changes to the defense. Like, these guys are making plays on the ball. So we good. What's good, Jake? Yeah, this right here. The Giants lead the whole league in sacks. And they ass. Complete ass. So those other aspects of the team that are just as important as getting stops or stopping the run or getting sacks, like other aspects of the team, that's like, as long as this team work well together offensively and defensively, I think it's a perfect mix with the offense and the defense. No, we don't have to have, a top 10 defense in order to win the championship. We don't have to have that. And that's the misconception. This is literally a design of what happens in 16. We didn't have we had like 40 something sacks. I think we had that. The sacks are different from, but we had a ton of turnovers and we won a lot of games because we got turnovers in key situations in 16 and we had a damn good offense. So this team is definitely similar to what we had in 16. So like I said, that's the thing. But there's way too much. Everybody pointing the finger at Jimmy Lake, but we need to be pointing the finger at the head guys because the defense is not making the necessary. And maybe and this is something that I said too about this defense. We probably just don't have the personnel to run what they want to run. And he stated this in the press conference, is that, year one is really about implementing your system. So you're going to see struggles and putting guys in certain situations. And right now, we may not have the personnel to run everything that we want. So let's be patient with Jimmy Lake. Let's be patient with Raheem. And let's be patient with, Zach Robinson. We good. But all this, Jimmy Lake is ass and all that thing, I don't think that at all. This guy's still in his first year as a defensive coordinator, calling plays like this, and this is what's going to happen. And we could see a complete different team and play caller in year 2. Hell, we might see it this year. Well, we got to get these guys. We got to give them a chance. We got to give them, a chance to make up. Like everybody's gonna fuck up. Okay, Matt Ryan didn't get off right off the bat, becoming a legend right off. Like he didn't come in throwing fucking 40 touchdowns and winning MVPs in his rookie year. But a lot of people just expect greatness right off the rip, even from coaches. Like we want to see a top 10 defense and lead the league in interceptions or close to the top in interception and have 50 sacks and stuff. Like we all want to see that in year 1. But it's not that simple. But we do have a lot of personnel issues that these guys can't run certain things. So I'm not gonna sit up here and say that Raheem isn't the guy, or I'm not gonna say that Jimmy Lake isn't the guy, because what we don't know and what we do know for sure right now, we are missing our linebackers. Our linebackers have been hurt this year. We missing one of our key edge guys that we were supposed to count on this year in Braylon Trice. We don't know what these guys will hit, what their defense will look like if we have a very good edge rusher. We haven't gotten that. And these guys have had 1 year to kind of figure it out. Like we pretty much gave the offense Daniel what I think the Falcons spent like almost $200 million on the offense just this offseason. Most of the pieces, most of the players that we brought in on the defense side of the ball have been a lot of young guys. And we used the draft to bring in a lot of these young pieces. But we spent most of the money on the offense side of the ball. So Raheem and Jimmy Lake, can we really say that they have everything that they need? No. Like I think it's only fair to give him at least 2 years as a defensive coordinator. Say, all right, we gave you this piece and we gave this piece and we're not seeing anything different. All right, maybe you need to go. But Raheem hasn't even had that. Jimmy hasn't even had that. Zach hasn't had that. Trade the house away for TJ Watt. Shit, I'll do it. You can have all my draft picks. Matthews, McGarry, Mignata, Grady are all vets. Like I said, these guys are closer to 30 on the defense side of the ball. So I know Grady is a little younger. I think he just turned 30, but like for the most part, like a lot of these guys are aging on the defensive line. Judon is 30, Grady 30. Mignata, I think he's 30 himself. So like these guys are older. So when you get some players that are young or younger, I think I think the defense will be fine. But like I said, man, that's just a common misconception that everybody just want to throw Jimmy Lake under the bus, and we're not giving Raheem no smoke. Ain't nobody giving Raheem no smoke because we winning, and rightfully so. But if we're going to talk about firing defensive coordinators or the defensive coordinator holding up his end of the bargain, we need to be looking at his leader and why his leader is approving his game plans. So that's my take. Like I said, appreciate everybody for joining us. Continue to support your boy here at Mad Mike Sports Atlanta Falcons Nation. Wednesday, we got the heavy hitters tonight at 9 o'clock. So that will be the 3 keys to victory. Like I said, check us out. Myself, 6-Man K-Style Jew is definitely dealing with his family. He will not be on the show tonight. They feeling ill. The change, the weather and all that got everybody sick. So he'll be doing that. So like I said, I appreciate it for joining myself and everybody else here at Atlanta Falcons Nation. But I'm out of here, man. Peace.
Put your eyes back in your head.
Like flavor.
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skin the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.